Yo, what's good, ladies and gentlemen? Your boy Iron Angel here. This was not planned at all. But I'm like, let me explain something to y'all for about 10 minutes, just so y'all can see my point instead of me always typing in the comments. So, if y'all been following my channel and my career videos, I've been, you can call it roasting Paul George. If y'all seen my series, I've been playing in the playoffs against the Clippers. And I am smacking Paul George around. And there's really nothing he can do. He's clamped. I'm dunking. All of them doing whatever I want. And in the process of doing it, you know, my hyperness, sometimes when I'm hyper, which I love, which I usually am when it comes to basketball, I say some things. And I know what I'm saying, by the way. I'm not like crazy. I don't know what I'm saying. But I know what I'm saying. But I'm roasting Paul George. And some people took it, you know, I ain't gonna say personally, because it's not like a sensitive thing. Like, I ain't saying these people are sensitive. No, they like the player, and they have a different opinion. But some were saying that one person was saying I sound ignorant. Some other people was like, yo, man, Paul George is this and that. And another one was saying he was top 5 MVP voting or something like that last year and all this stuff. You know, you can't be saying that. You sound idiot. You sound dumb and all this other stuff. Now, first off, let me get this out the way. I love the comments because I like talking about basketball. I always say we can disagree. We can say that each other is wrong and all that stuff. I love, and by the way, what's Rudy? Yeah, Rudy in the comments. I love the conversation, bro. Rudy, I definitely appreciate the comments. I take no offense to it. I know you say you don't mean to disrespect. I don't take what you say in a disrespectful way. Talking to people on here on YouTube is way different than Twitter. That's why I don't go on Twitter no more. Twitter, they're trying to wish you die. That's different than, hey, I think you sound ignorant. You know, I respect that. I disagree, but I respect that. But I think I need to make myself clear on my point when it comes to certain players, like right now, Paul George. And I'm talking about some other ones too. First off, I mean what I say. You know, I do like Paul George as a player. Let me get this out the way. I think Paul George is a good player. He was, in my opinion, an amazing player in his Indiana days, and I think he's been good and sometimes great. He had great moments with OKC and Clippers. You can't really judge that much. He's been playing good, but he's a little injured right now, so you can't really say anything right now with that. But I like Paul George as a player. Let me just get that out the way before I say what I'm about to say, because I can see some people wanting to think I'm hating on him. No, but I'm honest. You know, my eyes are working. When I watch the basketball game, I'm looking at not stats. I'm looking at production. So when I say what I say, first off, I mean it. You know, honestly, to reply to somebody's comment, I don't care of his MVP votings. I don't care what he does in the regular season. I'm like that with every NBA player. Everyone. And honestly, I mean, I don't see what the problem is. I don't care about what you do in the season if it doesn't go into the playoffs. It is so hot in here. Hold on one second. I just turned the fan on. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I don't really care about what you do in the regular season if it doesn't show in the playoffs. And I'm about to name a couple more players. Paul George, James Harden, Russell Westbrook. I'll just stick to those for now. Great players. Don't get me wrong. I like that Russell Westbrook with the triple-double, James Harden with the 60 points, Paul George, you know, the moments he had. But when I see in the playoffs, you're getting kicked out of the first round. Not James Harden, but getting kicked out of the first round. Like, how many years Westbrook been kicked out of the first round? And how many times are we going to make excuses? You know, James Harden, he scored 60 points and doing all this stuff in the regular season, but then the Warriors show up and he just crumbles. And let's not make excuses. Oh, well, they had KD. Yeah, there was a moment where KD last year was injured. I can't remember what game it was, but he was injured. And where was James Harden then? It was just Curry, Clay, and the rest of the team, which is still great because they won a championship without Durant. But people was making those excuses, like when I was saying it back then, like, you know, I remember saying a while ago, oh, I can't stand James Harden. And someone gave me flack for that. And, you know, they're a Harden fan or whatever, and I understand, you know, but I'm like, why should I believe in James Harden? They was like, well, he's putting 60 up. Is he winning in the playoffs against these teams? And he's like, well, they had Durant. And I was like, you know what? the Warriors did have Durant, that team was almost unbeatable. Then last year, Durant falls. And the Rockets had every opportunity. Everybody said it was Chris Paul's injury. Durant was on that team. Now, this time, Chris Paul's healthy and Durant is injured. So everything was available to them. They had every opportunity to win. Where was James Harden? Where was Chris Paul? And by the way, speaking of Chris Paul, I remember I put a post up apologizing for what I said about Chris Paul. If y'all didn't see it, in the video I said that I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I was wrong for that. And by the way, I do admit when I'm wrong, if I believe I'm wrong. I don't think I know everything. I don't. I'm a viewer just like y'all are. But I was wrong on that. I said he wasn't a Hall of Famer. And a lot of that came from his time with the Clippers, because I was sick to my stomach when the Clippers with Blake and all of them lost against Houston when they was up 3-1, and then the Clippers just crumbled and let Houston win that, because I really believe that was the Clippers' year to win a championship. And to see that crumble, I just lost faith in Chris Paul. And then to see the years go by, and he did get injured a couple of times, but then he was with James Harden, and I'm like, I have my doubts with that, because it's like, okay, Chris Paul's a facilitator, but James Harden loves holding the ball. But then you start seeing them playing good. I'm like, okay, it could work. Then the Warriors came, and we know how that happened. And people was like, well, Durant. Okay, well, then Durant got injured the next year, and Chris Paul was healthy. Oh, yeah, and Chris Paul was unhealthy that past year. But then everything was in line for the Rockets to win. And Chris Paul didn't show up. James Harden didn't show up. And people get confused thinking that showing up means scoring 30 points. No, showing up means you win the game. Like, period. That's what I look at it as. Now, shout out to the Warriors, because they still stepped up. Even when Durant was down, they stepped up. And honestly, I mean, I'm glad the Raptors won the championship last year, but let's be real here. If Durant, Curry, was it Curry? Yeah, I think, yeah. Or if Durant and Clay wasn't injured and on the bench, I think the Warriors would have won that, because they still went to 6 games with the injured Warriors team. But anyway, still, shout out to the Raptors, though. Kawhi definitely helped lead that team. But back to Paul George. I like Paul George's game. Oh, he was MVP, or top 5 or top 3 of MVP, or all this other stuff, which happens in a regular season. Let me be real with y'all with something. You know what made me think about this? It was 2 years ago. Two years ago, I think. Yeah, when he went up against the Utah Jazz. And I looked at Paul George differently after that. Utah Jazz, and people who watch basketball know what I'm about to say. You had Donovan Mitchell, who was a rookie. First off, that year, when I saw that Westbrook, Paul George, and Melo on the same team, we have Steven Adams on these other guys too. Because let's not act like the Thunder was a trash team. They was not. And then you added Melo and Paul George. I was like, this is a team that can beat the Warriors. That's what I was saying in the beginning of the season. And it looked like it. So when the playoffs started, and they was going up against the Jazz, in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is a sweep. You know, Donovan Mitchell's good, but he ain't ready for the playoffs yet. He's a rookie and all this stuff. He had good players on his team, but I'm like, against Westbrook, Paul George, and Melo, nah. And I'm thinking to myself, Westbrook has learned his lesson about making smarter basketball moves, because that's one thing that annoys me about Westbrook too, is his basketball decisions when time is about to. Anyway, seeing that series, I never forget. I'm watching and I'm like, it came from a smile like, oh yeah, sweet, to what is going on? Like, I was so frustrated. Like, Ingles, shout out to Ingles, because I didn't know who Ingles was until I saw that series. Because granted, as much as I love basketball, I can't watch every team, every single game in the season. And honestly, for me, playoffs is where it matters. I do watch a lot of regular season games, but playoffs is where I really see you. And Ingles made a name for himself to me. He probably did to other people way back, but he made a name for himself to me when he was embarrassing Paul George. Like, look it up on YouTube. It was an embarrassment. And I'm like, George, you're going to let Ingles do this to you? Ingles is not trash, don't get me wrong, but I looked at Paul George at a higher level. And it was like Ingles is embarrassing him, talking trash to him, shooting threes right in his face. And then after make the three, look at him like, what you going to do? And George basically had no answer. Yeah, he did a couple things, but Ingles was getting under his skin. And I'm like, they're crumbling. You know, Melo wasn't really doing that. Westbrook was getting punked by Ricky Rubio, where he's on the panel like, oh, next game I'm going to shut that down. And his answer to shutting it down was getting 4 fouls like this. Where you see people on the sideline like, 4 fouls? Like, I forgot who that was that did that. It was like, okay, all right. And this is where I'm like, okay, I had enough. And oh yeah, then when they get kicked out of that round, which was the first round, right? Yeah, I think it was the first round. I'm like, oh no. And people are like, well, they got to get used to each other. I ain't trying to hear that. Melo's been in the league for too long. George has been in the league for too long. Westbrook has been in the league too long. Y'all can't get it together throughout the whole season in the playoffs to beat that team. I'm not saying the Warriors to beat that team. And like I said, people give George way too much credit. I like George, but no. You know, I think his best years was, and again, this was before the leg injury, but I think his best years was when he was going against Miami, when he had Roy Hibbert, G. Hill, Granger, if I said that name right, and all this, that Lance Stevenson, I saw it, I'm like, oh, that's a superstar in the making. Now, granted, he got injured, but he came back, and he was balling when he was in Indiana. Now, he had to get through LeBron, which wasn't easy, but after that Utah Jazz game, I'm like, I don't know. Then the next year happened. We know, lost again. And that was another embarrassment. So Ingles embarrasses you that year with Utah. The next year, all what people are saying, MVP voting and stuff. And like, I told somebody this in the comments. It was like, well, MVP. I said, MVP don't matter. It still had Damian Lillard shoot a 3 in your face and wave at you and your team. MVP don't save you from that. That's how I look at Harden. 60 points don't save you from getting embarrassed by the Warriors. Giannis, because to be real, I like Giannis a lot. But this playoff season, he better perform. Because you saw when the playoffs started happening, his dominance wasn't as great. He was still good, but it wasn't like, oh, okay, he's trying to take over. I see you. And granted, it's a team-based game. But I'm saying, you're a leader. So I'm hoping this playoff series, he comes a lot better than before. But anyway, Westbrook, Harden, PG, and there's some other players too. I'm like, okay, I gotta be honest, 'cause I like them, but I'm not gonna be blind. That's what a lot of people in the NBA do, like who watch NBA do. They wanna, no, he's great. No, there's no criticism. No, hey, he got an MVP. Hey, he did this. Hey, he was injured. And by the way, let me talk about injuries, because I was told, oh, well, injury. Well, don't play. If you playing, there's no excuse. $160 million contract says that you have no excuse. If you can't play, sit down. Because one thing I learned, I remember I heard Kobe the year after he retired, or two years, I don't know, it was after he retired, he was talking to somebody. And I didn't know this, and everybody didn't know this. Remember with the last championship he won when he went against Boston, and they won? He said, and it's on YouTube, that he had a broken something with his hand or something. I can't remember. It was something that was messed up. And it was hard. It was something when he collided with KG. This was earlier in the series. And he said he was in pain. But he let nobody know. He says, because I got a job to do. That's a superstar mentality. And what did he do? He went and won that championship. Did he go score 60 points? But no, he didn't. But he didn't need to. He led. He let Paul Gasol become an all-star. He had Artest, this guy. He led that team. Was he playing his best? Absolutely not. But he stood up as an example, like, he went for the win. He didn't go for the 60 or MVP. He's like, no, I want that ring. I got to beat Shaq. Like he's talking about he had 5 rings and he had 4 or something like that. But, yeah, so that's what I want to see. That's why I say I look at production when the playoffs happen. If you're injured, then don't play. Like, I'm a LeBron fan, right? And people think I'm not a LeBron fan because I think Kobe's better. No, I'm a LeBron fan. I got 2 jerseys hanging up on my closet. One of them's a championship jersey, which that Cavs championship against the Warriors was one of the best ones in my life I've ever seen. But anyway, I'm on LeBron with that. Like, I hated when he was with the Cavs. I can't remember what year this was, and they was losing by a lot or something like that. Or no, they lost the series against the Warriors. And after you lose the series, you was like, well, you know, he had somebody wrap his hand and like, oh, well, my hand. I don't want to hear those excuses. Don't try to find a pity party because you lost. No, the Warriors were better. Let's move on. See you next year. You know, and I just gave that example to show even players that I really like, I'm on them. Like, I'm honest. And it's just my opinion at the end of the day because I'm a guy watching the game. I don't watch stats or what analytics say or nothing like that. I like to see what do you do when the real moment happens. Coming up in the clutch on your 30th game of the season, it's cool, it's entertaining. It's like, wow, that was cool. But 30 games in a season doesn't show when the playoffs start. You know? That's cool. Like, I think a lot of players in the NBA are getting tons of money and are not showing for it when the playoff time, or don't even make the playoffs. I'm not going to say names because I'm not mad at the brothers making their money. I'm looking at the owners like, what were you seeing in these players? Like, did you see finals or at least Western or Eastern Conference finals? Some of these players don't even make the playoffs and they're getting $100-some million. So the least you can do is just accept some constructive criticism, I guess, or you don't even have to listen to me. I mean, it's just my opinion. Everybody has their opinion with basketball. So I just don't give excuses to anybody. Like, my favorite player of all time is Tracy McGrady. And like, you think I give flack to other people. I get tons of flack for being, like, a fan of his. He's never made a finals. You know, and that's one thing that I said that. I'm like, the one downfall, that brother, I mean, yes, he had scoring title and all that stuff, but he didn't make the finals. Granted, I can throw excuses out there. Oh, Grant Hill was injured. Oh, but even with Yao Ming when he was playing with the Rockets, this, that. I could do that, but I don't do that. You know? Heck, LeBron, the last year we was with Cleveland, had a trash Cavaliers team and still went to the finals. Yes, he didn't get to he didn't beat the Warriors, but he made it to the finals. Oh, if I'm a GM, I want somebody like that. He can take this trash Cavs team into the finals and beat, like that was an embarrassing performance by the Raptors when everybody was counting the Cavs out. I'm like, nah. They're like, well, Raptors are first seed and they're ready. I'm like, that's the regular season. Let me see them in the playoffs. And what happened? Literally, if y'all could, go on YouTube. This is YouTube. Go and look up that year from the Cavs versus Raptors. That was the most embarrassing performance by a first seed. LeBron did whatever he wanted to whoever he wanted. When you hear people in Toronto like, oh my goodness, you see Drake on the sideline like, the heck is going on? But it's a difference from season performance to playoff performance. And honestly, hold on. I need to buy a stand. But honestly, that's what I look at. So when I'm roasting Paul George or stuff like that, one, I respect him. But if anybody, and even if, let's say if he heard what I said, and if he was sensitive to it, I would ask him, am I lying? Show me where I'm making that up. What are you to what? Because I thought when he was going to play with Westbrook, he was going to help lead. Because I'm like, okay, Westbrook can't lead. He's shown that. Because his decision making is like, what? Why would you just do that? So I thought Paul George was going to go in there and, you know, let me help you out. Let me help you out, Westbrook. You know, and no, he was the sidekick. That's why I thought the word sidekick. He was Westbrook's sidekick. And, you know, they tried to work it out, I guess. And there's moments where a superstar, if you're a true superstar, you tell Westbrook, sit back. Let me handle this. But why would Paul George do that when Ingles is embarrassing you? When Lillard is shooting a three and And there's other moments that happen. I'm just naming those two because it's hit my mind right now. He couldn't do that. So he's not a leader. A leader is not letting Ingles get under your skin. You know, it's not happening. You know, you see Steph Curry when Patrick Beverley kept trying to get under Curry's skin. Curry brushed it off and shoot threes in his face and kicked him out of the series. That's a superstar. That's a leader. LeBron had Lance Stevenson and all these other players. He still got to the finals. You know, now Draymond Green and stuff like that, that's different when you get to the Warriors. But I'm talking about other, like, to get to the, like I said, Western Conference, Eastern Conference, or finals. You know, he didn't let these other roadblocks get in their way. I can name other Kobe. I can name all these other players. Kawhi, all that. You know, there was nothing that you can do to get under your skin to get to where you're trying to go to. Paul George, I've seen nothing but stuff get in his way that annoys him, that gets under his skin. You know, granted, he's been injured sometimes. He was a play-through injury. Okay, then if you play through injury, I don't want to hear excuses. And to be real, as I told someone in the comments, injury and MVP votings doesn't change the fact, has nothing to do with Lillard shooting a three in your face and waving at you. Now, granted, that wave was more for Westbrook, which is still why I never understand why Westbrook is still going at Lillard as if Lillard did in his Thunder career. But hey, maybe Westbrook has some hope. I don't know. Because to be real, actually, I got something real to tell y'all. Okay, so I told someone this, and they think I'm crazy. I said, if the Thunder and the Rockets meet in the playoffs, I think the Thunder will win. And it's not because of these two games that the Thunder won. I've just been watching this team, and you know what's sad is when a superstar like Westbrook, that everybody gave praise for, oh, well, look what he did to OKC. Look what he did to OKC. Then he leaves OKC. And literally, when everybody thought when Chris Paul joins OKC, they're going to decline. Like, it's going to be a big decline. And literally, you see Chris Paul come in and be the Hall of Famer future Hall of Famer that he's going to be. And really, the team is really still on the same level, in my opinion. Yeah, the record, or whatever. But I'm talking about when you see them play, I don't really see much of a difference from when Westbrook played. That's not a good sign. And yes, Chris Paul is there. But I'm talking about how much people praise Westbrook for what he did to OKC. And people gave Chris Paul flack for the Rockets. But yet, he goes to OKC, and they're playing just as good or better than when Westbrook was there. Like, I'm watching, I'm like, Chris Paul's a leader, bro. And I think Chris Paul in a series against the Rockets will make smarter decisions than Westbrook. Westbrook moves on emotion. And by the way, but while we on Westbrook, I gotta say this. How, Westbrook, is your three-point shot worse? How? That is the most annoying thing. When I watched Inside the NBA, they say he was 23% shooting. And they showed from last year to this year. That's the most embarrassing thing, that a point guard is getting worse at the three-point line in an era where centers are shooting threes. Why are you still struggling from the three-point line? That is the most... that's what I'm saying. I don't give people excuses, bro. How long have you been in the league and you still don't know how to shoot threes? He's played with KD, Harden, George, Melo. He played with all these different shooters, and he can't keep a constant shot. Like, people want him to shoot. Now, granted, he does make some, but 23%? Come on. It's like, that's so frustrating to look at. That's why it's hard for me to watch the Rockets play, even though they do win sometimes, and you know, but it's just like, you watch this good talent, and something in the back of your mind's like, when the playoffs start, I don't see this team getting far. I mean, are they going to beat the Lakers? Are they going to beat the Clippers? Are they going to beat the Utah Jazz? Are they going to beat OKC? I'll say this now, and I don't even know if it's going to happen. If somehow the Rockets and OKC meet in the playoffs, if OKC loses that series, I'll do a $100 gift card to one of my subs, because that's how much I don't think like OKC is going to lose to them. Like, Harden is different when the playoffs start. Westbrook is different when the playoffs start. To have them both on the same team? Like, how do you get two people that choke on the same team? It just don't make sense. But anyway, this video is going pretty long, so I'm going to stop here. But let y'all know something. I like Paul George. I respect him. and all that stuff. But a lot of people put him on a high pedestal that he deserves. Now, I hope one day, and I saw in the comments someone said in a couple years with the Clippers, I could see him win the championship. You know what? I believe that, but honestly, it's not even about his championship. I want to see him because he did something besides being a sidekick. That's really all I said. I didn't say he was trash. I didn't say he was bad. I said he's a sidekick. Because if you win a championship, but it's because Kawhi was being Michael Jordan out there, then it's like, okay. If he's a Scottie Pippen out there, then okay, cool, I respect that. But if you're on a sideline or you just put a nice 10, 15 points, not really making a strong contribution, you're still the sidekick. There was no moment where you like, let me step up and lead for y'all. Because OKC was Westbrook's team. Clippers is Kawhi's team. Where's his leadership at? That's really, if you really think about it, that's all I said in my video, sidekick. If you look up sidekick, that's the Robin of the team. Kawhi's Batman, George is Robin. That's all I said. And people took that so, I guess to like more of an offense than it should have been. But let me ask you a question. Am I lying? Because if he's not the sidekick, so that means Kawhi's the sidekick, are we really going to say Kawhi's the sidekick? Are we really going to say that? Come on. No. He's the leader. So that means Paul George is the sidekick. All I ask is you better perform as a sidekick and perform well, because there ain't nothing wrong with being a sidekick. Scottie Pippen was a sidekick, but still has 6 rings. Steve Kerr was a sidekick, still has 7, right? Something like that. There ain't nothing wrong with it. But Indiana George and this George is different. I hope this George, though, can win, because I want... let me make something clear, and I'll end it here. I want Westbrook. I want Harden. I want George. I want these other great players to get a ring. But I'm not going to be a dummy. I'm not a dummy. I'm not going to be blind like this and be like, oh, no, there's no flaw. There's no flaw. No, there's flaws. So I'll end it there. I thought, because I was talking to people in the comments, I'm like, let me go on camera, because I like talking about basketball. Let me know if you agree or disagree, because it's all good here. It's all love. It's a conversation. It's a debate. It's whatever you want to call it. Keep it nice in the comments, as in don't wish death on me. Like, that's the only thing I have an issue with. People think because I said Kobe is better than LeBron on Twitter, you wishing death. That's a whole that's just something wrong with you if you thinking that. I need to go to a psych ward. Something wrong with you. But to say, it sounds ignorant or I disagree or something like that, that's fine. It's called passion of basketball. But yeah, I love all y'all regardless. So I love you. I got to get back to recording, but I just wanted to talk to y'all for a little bit. All right. See you later.